Hello! I wanted to make a video of my top 5 favorite Lego sets that I own. I know this is a bit different, but it's another hobby I really enjoy, and also is an interesting angle from the financial perspective, in terms of flipping or even investing for the long term, that I think is very sort of under-discussed in the world of YouTube and other collectibles. So this set, this is the Parisian restaurant. This is the one that got me back into Lego after not doing it for, 15 years. I strolled into a Lego store in New York City and saw this box, saw the set on display, and was just struck by how different it was from what I remembered from childhood. This is so detailed. It's a theme that's more towards adults, like a, just a restaurant that's cool architecture and details as opposed to like a spaceship. Don't get me wrong, I love the spaceships too. Maybe I'll get to one of those in a future video. But I didn't know that Lego could be for grown-ups, so big, so many pieces. It's almost 2,500 pieces, it says ages 16 plus, and just so striking looking. My part of my family also comes from France, my wife's family as well, so this just reminds me of being in France as well, just the overall feel of it. And so I didn't buy the set then and there, but I did eventually, and just loved the experience of building it. And it kind of made me realize there are two ways to, I think, enjoy the hobby of Lego. There's the one that I really associate with childhood of primarily not building with instructions. You just have a giant box of pieces of all. So this is, the back of the box. It shows little vignettes from the set. You have like a turkey you can cut up. You have a folding bed. It has so many interesting details and features. Anyway, so as a kid, you just have everything in one big box, use your imagination, build whatever you want. You can kind of do it any time. Versus this way of doing it with the instructions. You buy kits for the purpose of what the kit actually looks like. And just building according to instructions. And then in this case, I sort of repackage everything back up. I put all the pieces back into bags in the same box with the instructions so I can rebuild it whenever I want, as long as I keep those pieces in each of the right boxes. And it's very different, right? It's not creative at all. It's just following instructions. But it's fun. It's kind of mindless, I guess, just relaxing. And what I love most about it is just seeing there's kind of no way to appreciate how well designed something is unless you build it yourself. So you go through the instructions step by step. You kind of don't really know what direction it's going, and you're like, why am I putting this piece here? And then you just see at the end how it kind of all fits together, and you're like, wow, this designer, whoever designed this from scratch is a total genius, and I got to sort of understand that genius by building it myself. And then you have this beautiful thing to put on display. Speaking of display, I should probably apologize for just showing you the boxes today as opposed to the actual sets themselves that are built. But the reason is, I like to take them apart when they're done, put them back, be able to enjoy it again later. And I don't leave them out on display for very long just because, little kids and stuff, they like to play with them for sure, and we leave them out for a little bit, but, easily damaged and just collect dust. Dust is the biggest thing for me. I feel like I don't enjoy it as much when it's super dusty. I'm trying to maintain it and clean it. So before the pieces get too dusty and no longer work, I put them back in the box. Anyway, that is number 1. Now for number 2 here, I've got another big but not quite as big set. This is called the Ultra Stealth Raider. This is from a line called Ninjago. So you'll note that Lego sort of has like original themes, like this creator one over here and the Ninjago one over here. They have a TV show of Ninjago. And then they have the really popular sets that are licensed from Star Wars. I love those too. I love Star Wars, but I find that the original lines tend to be more creative in sort of how they're designed. So this set I think is just unbelievable, like a masterpiece of design, because you have this thing that you build here, right? Like this big tank, essentially, type thing with these different compartments, the different ninjas. There's some bad guys there too. But then you'll see, they show the pictures on the back, you can take it all apart, right? So these two tanks come off on the side. This thing comes off on top, turns into like a little airplane or spaceship. This wheel flips over, and then they all look like this. So you're building this one giant tank, but can take it all apart into its component pieces. It's just so fun to roll around. These treads have like traction. It's so fun to flip that big wheel back and forth once it's built. And of course the building process is super fun too. Now I'm just grabbing here some notes I forgot to mention for the Parisian restaurant set. I wanted to talk about value. So when this came out, it cost $160 retail. They come out with one of these big sort of modular buildings themed towards adults every year that costs around that much. Now they're more expensive. I got it for $160 because it was when it was in production. In terms of appreciation, now I just checked eBay. I should note first, eBay sold prices are not perfect. They fluctuate. I tried to make my best sort of average of recent prices. So anyway, I bought this at retail for $160. Now sealed, if it wasn't ever opened, it would go for $280. I did, of course, open it, but I still have, I think, all the pieces. So as long as it's complete, including all the minifigures, they call them minifigs, which to some people are very valuable, complete, used, it would go for $180. So I bought this for $160. I've built it, taken apart multiple times. I plan to do it many more times, with my kids as well. But if I ever wanted to, I could sell this for more than I bought it for, just used, even with, slightly, damaged or worn box. And I found that that's the case with almost every single Lego set I've ever bought, is that I could sell it used, as long as it's complete, or at least mostly complete. I should say probably actually completely complete. As long as it's completely complete, I could sell it used for more than what I bought it for, as long as I give it a couple of years. So I, personally build out everything. I don't think I've bought a single set and just kept it sealed. I only buy sets I want to build, but happy that I can always just sell it and make back my money if I ever want to, which I have certainly done for a few sets, though not my favorite ones like the ones from today. This set, the Ultra Stealth Raider, retails about $100. I got it a couple of years when it was out of production. Usually they go up, but sometimes they go down first. In this case, I got an amazing deal, just an auction nobody was watching on eBay. Bought it new for $55, which was pretty amazing. If you were to buy it new today, this would be, I checked the recent price again, sold listings average, not perfect, but $310. And then used, complete, as long as it's complete again like this one, $160. So I bought it for $55, got an amazing deal, right? But I could sell it used for $160. All right. Those are my notes, sorry. Next one, I want to show that not all my favorite sets are necessarily these ginormous ones. You don't have to spend a huge amount of money to get something really, really cool. I love this one as well. This is from the movie version of The Lone Ranger, which, some people don't like that movie. I thought it was really fun. It's by the same people who made Pirates of the Caribbean, which is one of my favorite movie series, including the same actor, Johnny Depp, who plays, where's it, Tonto, somewhere over here. So this one has kind of all the main characters from the movie, which I think the minifigures are a draw for some people, but I just love that the set has so many sort of features packed into it. So I'll turn it around and you can see, right, you have these walls that can pop off with the dynamite, boulders that can fall. They can go through somewhere here. There's a waterfall they can go through. They've got this minecart, dynamite stuff, a slide, just so much to play with once you built it, which, I guess is more appealing for kids. But again, the process of seeing how well designed and integrated all those features are is just such a pleasure to do. So when this came out, at retail it was $70. When it went out of production, I shouldn't say all sets appreciate, like this theme was not particularly popular. So when it went out of production, I was able to buy this new for $45. And that was kind of the going rate at the time. Maybe it was 50 or 55 was the going rate, and I got a good deal at 45. So not super valuable, hasn't appreciated a ton. Sealed now, this would be $85, and used, it would be 65, so I could sell this for 65. So if you're thinking about it, Lego, like I think about it, where it's basically, I want to buy a set that I want to build. And I'm pretty confident that no matter how popular or unpopular the theme is, if I hold it for at least a few years, I can always sell it back. If I'm bored of rebuilding it, I can always sell it back for at least as much as I bought it for, usually more, even when you're accounting for shipping and eBay fees and all that. Some themes are more popular than others. This Lone Ranger, you probably could have guessed, nobody cared about this movie. This theme, not super popular, hasn't really appreciated. But some of the vintage Ninjago stuff, those modular buildings that are super popular, those appreciate a lot. I'll talk later sort of about some dangers if you're actually planning to invest in Lego, including reprints and fakes, so we'll talk about that in a moment. But first want to share, I talked about no more big sets, but anyway, the last two are really big. So this is my second favorite set. This is called Metalbeard Sea Cow, and you might recognize it if you saw the Lego movie. I love the Lego movie. Hilarious, awesome, seen it multiple times. And this is the huge ship that Metalbeard builds. And so Metalbeard is this pirate who's kind of a steampunk pirate. And so this is a steampunk imagining of a steamship, essentially. It has these wheels that power it with this giant smokestack, as well as sails. And it just comically large. Like when you build it, it's kind of even bigger than this. You can see the ship, the back just stacks up like this. The first time I thought it was just so ridiculous looking, but also so cool and humongous. I didn't buy it at the time of the Lego movie. That was actually before I got back into Lego. But if I had, this retailed for about $250. I bought it just last year and I got an incredible deal on eBay. I got it for $260. It was basically new. It had been opened, but none of the individual bags with the pieces that were sorted had been opened. So essentially new, just slightly opened for $260, sorry, which is 10 more than it was for retail. But now sealed, this goes for about 320 is the going rate. Used, hard to tell, it fluctuates a lot, but used probably 280. So again, I got this at a good deal for 260. I could sell it for 280 used. I'm probably never going to sell it. I just want to rebuild it multiple times with my kids. My son loves it too, loves the characters from the Lego movie. And to me, just such a striking and sort of iconic thing that, again, as a theme, Lego movie has, not appreciated super well. Kind of depends which set. It's not something as enduring as like Ninjago or one of the licensed things like obviously Star Wars or Disney or whatever. But some of these larger sets when they come out, they don't really have a clear target market. Like, is this for kids? Is a parent going to spend $250 on this giant ship for kids? Are they going to be able to build something that's intricate? It's marketed at recommended ages, 14 and up. So I imagine a lot of these big sets that kind of don't fall neatly into one theme, like adults or children, are hard to sell, and therefore it makes them more rare, more likely to appreciate over time. All right, the last set I want to share, and this one is an absolute behemoth. This is one of the largest Lego sets ever, certainly the largest one that I own, and my favorite of all time that I've ever seen or built is Ninjago City. So this is from the Lego Ninjago movie, which is a movie that was kind of not as successful, in my opinion, definitely not as good as the original Lego movie. They kind of took that Ninjago series or theme and made it into more of a Lego movie style thing, where everything in the movie was brick built. Anyway, thoughts on the movie aside, you can basically build a portion of the city here, which has this really unique style where there's kind of water all along the bottom, and then these layers of buildings. And when you build the set, you see each of these little units is kind of its own little mini build that you do, with people or themes or tons and tons of details inside. The set is huge, right? Almost 5,000 pieces. So a bit of history on how I got this, right? Because it's certainly one of the most expensive sets I ever bought. It was retailing for $300, which is a really good ratio. Normally you want to look at the price to part ratio, and typical price to part ratio is about 10 cents per piece. So you'd expect that this, it would cost about $480 if it was a typical price to part ratio. Star Wars sets are more expensive. This would Star Wars, it might be $600 or something like that. But this was an incredible ratio, right? Even retail $300 for a piece set this large. Probably trying to fix that problem again of like, who is this marketed towards? Can you convince parents to buy it for kids, or will adults go for it? But anyway, this was around the time when Toys R Us was going out of business. And so they were fire selling everything, even these large Lego sets. And I kind of waited until the discount got bigger and bigger. First it was 10% for Lego, then 20. This got down to 30, and then I pulled the trigger. I figured at 30% off, people are just going to be grabbing these, potentially just flippers or investors as well. Here you can see the different layers of the city. So I traveled to a Toys R Us, got this for $210 plus tax, built it over the course of, I built it for like an hour or two every night for over a week while my wife and son were away on a trip. Took it apart, planned to build it again, when my son is a little bit older. But here again, you can see some of the details. This is just awe-inspiring to me in terms of how well designed it is. Not only does everything sort of fit together and it's sturdy and intact, but it just has so many details and sort of playable features on the inside, tells a story with the characters as you're building it. It has this thing on the back you can't see here, but the whole thing, as you're building upwards, has an elevator that can move up and down. They build a supplement to the set. Maybe I can talk about it another time. But anyway, so this retail for $300. I got it for $210. Now sealed, it goes for $620. That's like the lower end. So appreciated a ton. I think adults realize just how iconic and enduring this set is going to be. Used like this, used and complete, would go for $470. So still would have basically doubled my money if I sell it, which I'm hoping to never have to do that. So a couple of things, I'll start moving the sets back to see them again as I talk about this. If you are interested in Lego, not just for the joy of building these sets in the way that I do, or even the other way, the more creative way of kind of taking things apart and building your own creations, which I should say I have done. It just takes a lot of creative energy. It's a different kind of thing. Whereas this kind of gives me creativity, right? Like instead of having to think about how I'm going to do things and it goes very slowly, this goes very fast. It's just relaxing, easy to follow. Anyway, if you're not interested in that, you're just interested in the investing angle. What are some things to watch out for? The first thing to know is just on eBay, always search for the set number, 70620. In this case, it'd be 79110. That's the easiest way to make sure you get the actual set. Things to watch out for are fakes, right? There's a company called Lepin that makes, or Lepin that makes fake Legos, tons of other fakes out there. It's getting harder and harder to tell them apart, which maybe some people think is a good thing if you don't care if it's authentic, right? You don't care about having the fake and get a lot cheaper, sure. I personally think that, it's not good for Lego as a hobby, that there are lots of fakes out there. They're clearly not as good quality. Part of what I love about Lego is just the high quality of all the pieces. There's some amazing entire documentaries out there about how Lego makes such high quality products that are sort of perfect every single time. Never any missing pieces, never any broken pieces, and so forth. Anyway, you have to watch out for fakes. I don't really know how to do that except to just be careful and check things. And I think the other thing to really look for is just what are the themes that you think are popular. Star Wars is enduring, but to watch out for reprints, right? Just in the way that cards can be reprinted, Lego's reprinted sets. So there was something called the Ultimate Collector Series Millennium Falcon, the largest Millennium Falcon they ever made. And got appreciated like crazy. It got up to the price of probably $2,000 or $3,000 because it was a massive, massive detailed version of Millennium Falcon. And then they decided to make a new version of it that was kind of even bigger and better and sold at retail. And so you get that for like $800 and the value of the old one tanked, right? So you never know when they're going to reprint something, but you can kind of guess things that are more specific to a time point are not going to be reprinted, right? Like Ninjago City, can't imagine they would reprint this exact set again unless they one day re-release the exact same movie. So you never know, but you can think about the risk of re-releases. You can think about which themes are more popular. You can think about the segmentation of adults versus grown-ups, sets that grown-ups might love but were missed by them the first time because they're originally marketed more towards kids. Those are all factors to consider. But from my point of view, you know, the investing, or at least the increase in value, is like a nice side benefit to just the fact that these are things that I really, really enjoy. Unfortunately, they're really expensive, but the benefit is that they retain value often, very often, appreciate in value. So I have sold sets to make money back. Some of the money back I've spent on Lego. Anyway, I hope this was interesting. I hope it was helpful. I hope it might kindle in you the same sort of interest in Lego that it's kindled in me over time. If you're interested in learning more about any of these sets, anything else that I have in my collection, or just any questions about Legos in general, I'm really happy to answer them in the comments. Happy maybe even one day to do an entire Q&A dedicated to Lego investing. One thing that's really interesting is just there is not that much out there about it. You know, you search Pokemon investing, Magic the Gathering investing. There are huge YouTube channels, lots of literature and materials out there. For Lego investing, I did some research before this video, just could hardly find anything. Some very niche videos on Lego investing. There's an online course you can take on it with some, you know, random person, but it seems to be a very niche thing. And actually, you know, if you're interested in more of the investing or even the flipping angle, you could probably do very, very well if you learn about it, because you could be one of the few people who at least is taking it from that serious, methodical approach. I know there are people out there who do it, but it seems like they keep their secrets, or at least their methods, very closely guarded. Maybe one day someone will launch a more mainstream Lego investing channel that could be super, super interesting. But until then, hope you enjoy, and I will see you later.